And viewers, we have breaking news coming in. It is the Election Commission that has released a detailed status report on the special intensive revision of electoral rolls in Bihar. This is a massive exercise that covered nearly 7.89 crore voters, and this is what we know as per the status report and the latest facts that have been given by the poll panel. So we're going to talk about the parts in which the EC has divided its status report. The EC has now shown via this data the key findings of the enumeration phase that took place between the 24th of June and the 25th of July. Take a look at the picture that is on your screens. This is the data that is broken down in this format. So the part in blue goes on to show the enumeration forms that were collected from electors, and that comes up to a whopping 91.69%, which is 7.24 crore voters who participated, and these forms were in fact collected. Now, the other data, the part that you see in red marks out those who are deceased, which is 2.83% of the electorate, that is 22 lakh people. Then you have the part in yellow, which points to those who are permanently shifted or who weren't found, and that comes up to 36 lakh, which is about 4.59% of the electorate. And then the small part in green, which goes on to mention multiple enrollments or enrollments at multiple places in the electoral rolls. That number is about 7 lakh, which is 0.89% of the total electorate. So this status report talks about the scale, which goes on to say that 7.24 crore electors submitted enumeration forms. The EC has highlighted how this entire exercise has been appreciated and also embraced by the Janta of Bihar, despite all the fear-mongering by the opposition. So it is 92% participation. The EC has given credit to about 77,000, booth-level workers, thousands of officers, and also lakhs of volunteers who took part in it. 1.6 lakh political party agents were part of this very exercise, and these are political party agents cutting across party lines. Then let's talk about the second aspect of the data that is out as part of the EC's very detailed status report, which goes on to talk about the findings during the enumeration phase between the 24th of June and the 25th of July. As per this data, this talks about why some voters were not found, because these forms weren't received from voters because they either migrated or they passed away. This does not exist, or they did not respond. Then there are also some cases that are under scrutiny. So the EC goes on to say that names will not be deleted without notice or a hearing, and they are going to follow all kinds of rules. As per more data that is part of the status report, it also says that young voters, and the focus is on young voters, first-time voters, migrants, and special campaigns have been launched for those turning 18 by the 1st of October 2025, and also that migrants can submit forms online or even via WhatsApp. The fourth aspect of this very status report that the EC goes on to mention in a very detailed manner is the fact that there is going to be an option of digital and grievance redressal, which says that there can be SMS confirmations that were sent to about 5.7 crore registered mobiles, where voters can track the forms and the status of these forms online, and complaints received via public sources have also been addressed. So what's going to happen next, now that the entire exercise comes to a halt? Madhav Das Gopalakrishnan is with us on the phone line. Madhav, an extremely detailed status report filed by the poll panel, data going on to counter all the fear-mongering and the anti-S.I.R. campaign that has been launched by the opposition. What are the key aspects of the status report, Madhav, if you could take our viewers through it?
Well, one thing is very clear, Sagarika. The fact is that this S.I.R. report, there were earlier data or speculation that it would be around 64 lakhs. The final data, as far as this particular phase, as far as the S.I.R. process is concerned, this is the finding of the enumeration phase, which has been carried out from the 24th of June to the 25th of July. And this specifically states that the total number of the electors who have given the electoral form are 7.24 crore, that is 91.69%. The deceased are at 22 lakhs, which is 2.83%. Permanently shifted or not found is at 36 lakhs or 4.59%. Enrolled at multiple places in ER is at 7 lakhs. So if you take the total data, it's at about 65 lakhs roughly. That's the total numbers or prospective numbers of those who would be deleted from the voter rolls. Of course, those who are deceased or enrolled at multiple places, certainly, of course, even opposition will find it difficult to argue that. But one of the points that they have been repeatedly making is of those who are migratory labor, for instance, those who are not present in Bihar because they would have been working or employed at other states, for which, of course, the argument coming from the other side is that the definition of those who are part of the electoral rolls is where their place of ordinary residence is. So if they are, for instance, working in another city, say, for instance, Mumbai, Delhi, Bangalore, Hyderabad, or some other place, then perhaps they would be enrolled over there. That is the kind of argument we have seen. A lot of back and forth, nevertheless, that has been taking place between opposition and, of course, the Election Commission. And one will, of course, have to see what the reactions are. But why this is very significant is that while we have been projecting or given a lot of projections of what the likely outcome is, this is the final official data at the enumeration phase. But we must remember one thing. There is still a process whereby before any voter's name is struck off the electoral rolls or the voter list, they will have to be given reasons why, and there will be a hearing before a governmental authority who will decide this. This is something that has been stated. The BLOs, which are working at the local level, the booth level agents of the BLAs of various political parties, and the numbers of these, including the volunteers, run into several lakhs. They will all be part of this process of disputing or challenging those whose names are struck off.
Right.
And they will have to, of course, give cogent reasons or documentation as per what may be available at that point of time to actually argue this further. Back to you.
Madhav, I want you to stay with us because there is one question on people's mind. Now that such a comprehensive status report is out and such data is out, is there any mention of the presence or is there any data on the presence of, say, foreigners? Because there was a lot of conversation about the presence of foreigners in the electoral rolls and the fact that this is an exercise aimed at that kind of verification so that only Indian citizens and people of Bihar have the right to cast their, vote in the elections?
Well, absolutely. This is something that has further been found. It's not mentioned specifically as far as this particular data is concerned. The point is that there will be no, as I mentioned earlier, they have said that they were going to try and address the issue of migratory workers. There will be no deletion of any voter without a speaking order, which means they will have to give reasons for which the name is being struck off, and that will have to be recorded, which means that thereby, if there is any kind of lapse, they can further take appropriate action if that is pointed out. So all of these aspects that have been left. As you rightly mentioned, in the past, they have said that there were a number of migratory people, in fact, of foreign origin, as you rightly said, foreign citizens or foreign nationals who were found in several locations in Bihar. And that certainly is something that will be followed up. And we will, of course, have to see what the data regarding that is concerned, because we have seen how the BJP has been highlighting, and even the Aadhaar data of the UIADI highlights how there is so much of saturation where in certain districts over 100% of the population has been registered in Aadhaar. So where is that extra population coming from? Is it those who have not yet been registered as citizens or through some other data, or is it those who have in fact coming from other parts or other countries is also a question that is valid. So we will have to see what the final findings of the Election Commission are. This is the enumeration stage. Certainly in the next few weeks we'll get more data as to what has been finally found out by the EC and its various officials.
Yes, thank you so much, Madhav, for joining us and breaking down the details of the S.I.R. status report. Madhav Gopalakrishnan, Senior Executive Editor at Times Now, accessing the report and also telling us about the big takeaways. With that, viewers, it's time now for us to take a short commercial break. Stay with us. We'll be back with more news and updates.